Jonas stepped out of the small shuttle, his boots making a soft sound on the smooth metallic floor. The air smelled strange, a mix of ozone and something sharp, yet it did not burn his lungs. He paused for a moment to look around. The mothership was larger than anything he had ever seen on Earth. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting the stars in a pattern that almost seemed alive. Lights of green, blue, and violet pulsed along its edges, moving as though the ship itself was breathing. Jonas adjusted the strap on his helmet and took a careful step forward. He was alone, but he felt calm. The shuttle had brought him directly to the docking bay, a huge chamber with walls that curved and twisted in ways that made him feel dizzy for a moment. Towering above him were figures he had only seen in illustrations sent from previous alien contacts. They were tall, at least twice the height of a human, with slender limbs and elongated heads. Their exoskeletons reflected the same colors as the mothership. They moved gracefully, with purpose, as if every step had meaning. Their eyes were many, shimmering like glass, and they watched him closely. Jonas knew that they could see far more than humans could. A deep hum filled the room, vibrating in his chest. The sound was not just noise. It carried a sense of order and control. Jonas had read about alien technology, but nothing could prepare him for the presence of the ship itself. Every surface glowed faintly, showing strange symbols and lights that pulsed in patterns. He realized quickly that he was being tested simply by walking through this space. Every step mattered. Stay calm, he whispered to himself, adjusting the device on his wrist. It was a simple translator, programmed to convert alien languages into something he could understand. So far, the only signals had been visual. He had no idea how the aliens would communicate, or if they even cared to. From the far end of the bay, one of the aliens approached. Its movement was fluid, almost like it floated above the floor. It stopped a few meters from him and extended a limb that resembled an arm but ended in delicate tendrils. The translator on Jonas's wrist began to pick up faint signals, converting them into words he could understand. "You are human," it said, its voice calm but precise. "Why do you enter without permission?" Jonas held up his hand slowly. "I come in peace," he said. His voice sounded small in the vast chamber, but he spoke with confidence. "I wish to understand, to learn. I do not carry weapons. I only wish to communicate." The alien studied him, tilting its head. It made no sound for a long moment, only the soft hum of the ship around them. Then it spoke again. "Follow me." Jonas nodded and followed. He walked carefully, trying to match the pace of the alien. The corridors were narrow but tall, twisting in ways that made him feel as if he were walking inside a living organism. The walls glowed softly, illuminating symbols that seemed to shift as he looked at them. The air was cooler here but breathable. Jonas noticed that the ship had no obvious seams or joints. It was seamless, perfect, as if grown rather than built. As they walked, Jonas tried to remain observant. He noticed small details that might seem irrelevant to anyone else. The way the lights changed color as someone passed. The way the floor vibrated slightly when a larger alien moved. The quiet hum that seemed to shift when someone approached. He realized that the ship was aware of him. Not conscious, perhaps, but attentive. Every action, every step he took was noticed. The alien led him to a large chamber. It was circular with a high ceiling that disappeared into shadows. At the center was a platform made of clear material that glowed faintly from below. On that platform sat a figure larger and more majestic than any other alien in the room. Jonas could feel the difference the moment he entered. The figure radiated authority. The many eyes fixed on him, and Jonas felt a mixture of fear and awe. "You are Jonas," said the figure, its voice resonating in the room without the need for any device. The alien queen, as Jonas realized, spoke directly into his mind. The effect was not frightening, only powerful. He could feel her curiosity, her expectation. "Yes," Jonas replied, keeping his voice steady. "I am Jonas, I come in peace." There was a long silence. The queen's many eyes shifted, studying him from every angle. Her presence was overwhelming, yet Jonas felt no panic. He focused on breathing evenly, standing tall. He knew that humans often succeeded in situations like this, not because they were stronger, but because they remained calm and observant. "You are expected to remove your helmet," the queen said finally. Her voice carried both command and challenge. Jonas froze for a moment. He had anticipated this. The aliens believed that revealing one's face showed vulnerability, a sign of respect or submission. Many humans might hesitate, but Jonas did not. Slowly, He reached up and removed his helmet, setting it carefully on a nearby pedestal. His face was calm. His eyes met the Queen's, steady and unafraid. For a moment, the chamber seemed to hold its breath. The Queen's eyes widened slightly, and a soft murmur ran through the other aliens present. Jonas spoke again. "I am not here to fight. I wish to understand your people. I wish to learn, not to harm." The Queen did not reply immediately. She had expected fear, uncertainty, perhaps hesitation. Instead, she found a human willing to show respect, courage, and calm at the same time. It was rare. Humans, in her experience, were often reckless or easily intimidated. This one was different. "You will follow the trials," the Queen finally said. Her voice was softer now, but no less commanding. "You will show your intelligence, your courage, and your adaptability. If you succeed, you may speak to us freely. If you fail, the consequences will be severe." Jonas nodded. "I understand," he said. He was ready. Fear had no place in this moment. What mattered was observation, patience, and using what humans had in abundance: creativity and adaptability. The Queen signaled, and several aliens moved to guide him further into the ship. Each step took him deeper into a world that was completely alien, yet precise in a way that humans might eventually understand. The corridors led to chambers filled with strange devices, glowing crystals, and pools of liquid that seemed alive. Jonas studied everything carefully, taking note of patterns, of connections, of movement. He realized something important. The ship was not just a vessel. It was a living network of knowledge and control. Every alien he passed was part of a system that communicated without words. The Queen had created a structure that combined intelligence, discipline, and hierarchy in a way humans rarely did. Yet humans had something else: intuition, adaptability, and the ability to improvise. Jonas felt confident that this would serve him well in the trials to come. The first chamber they entered was filled with lights and shapes that shifted constantly. Aliens moved around him, testing his reactions. Jonas observed carefully. He did not rush. He did not panic. He waited for patterns to reveal themselves. He noticed that some lights responded to movement, some to sound. He adjusted his steps, his breathing, his movements. Slowly, carefully, he began to navigate the space. The aliens watched, intrigued. They were used to creatures who panicked or failed, but Jonas remained calm and precise. Each step he took, each choice he made, reflected both observation and action. The Queen's many eyes followed him closely, impressed despite herself. At the end of the chamber, Jonas paused and turned slightly. He looked back at the Queen and nodded. She inclined her head slightly in return, a silent acknowledgement of his progress. The human was learning quickly. He was not just surviving. He was adapting. Jonas felt a mixture of awe and determination. The trials were only beginning, but he knew that humans had survived against odds far greater than this. He also knew that fear or hesitation would weaken him. He had come to learn, to communicate, and to show that humans were not only capable of surviving but of contributing something unique to the universe. As he followed the aliens deeper into the ship, Jonas could not help but feel a spark of hope. He was a small figure in a vast alien world, yet his presence mattered. The Queen had noticed him. The trials would be difficult, but he had something rare: the courage to face the unknown with calm, clear thought, and respect. The humming of the ship seemed to grow louder as he walked, yet it was not threatening. It was a challenge, a test, and an invitation. Jonas stepped forward, ready to meet whatever lay ahead. He had removed his helmet. He had shown himself fully. The alien world had taken notice, and Jonas knew that the first step toward understanding, respect, and perhaps even friendship had been made. He took a deep breath, steady and even, and prepared for the trials the Queen had promised. In that moment, the human presence on the alien ship was no longer small or insignificant. It was a symbol of courage, adaptability, and the quiet power of humanity. Jonas followed the tall alien who had guided him through the twisting corridors of the mothership. Each step took him closer to the center of the ship, where the alien Queen awaited. The walls were smooth and reflective, showing faint shadows of light that moved like living shapes. Jonas's heart beat steadily, not with fear but with anticipation. He had faced strange and dangerous situations before, but nothing like this. This was the first real test of humanity in front of a species that had never truly respected human intelligence or courage. The alien leading him paused before a large doorway, one that curved high above his head. Beyond it, he could see a glowing chamber, circular and vast. Light radiated from the floor, rising in soft waves to the ceiling, forming a pattern that made the chamber look alive. At the center, a raised platform floated slightly above the ground. On it sat the Queen, her form taller and more elegant than any other alien in the ship. Her exoskeleton reflected soft colors that shifted with the light, making her seem like a creature of both shadow and flame. "You may enter," the guide said. The words echoed in Jonas's helmet through the translator, yet he felt the weight of their meaning more than he heard them. He stepped forward carefully, each movement measured. The Queen's many eyes focused on him immediately. He stopped at the edge of the platform, lifting his visor fully to reveal his face. His brown hair was slightly disheveled from the journey, and his eyes met hers without hesitation. The Queen tilted her head slightly, an almost imperceptible gesture, as though surprised by his confidence. "You are human," the Queen said, her voice calm yet powerful, reaching directly into his mind. It was not sound in the usual sense, but thought and emotion conveyed at once. "You have entered my ship alone. You have no weapons. You have removed your helmet willingly." "Why?" Jonas held his stance, speaking clearly. "I come in peace. I wish to learn. I wish to understand your people and your ways. I do not wish to harm you or your ship." The Queen studied him in silence, her many eyes shifting from one feature of his face to another. The court behind her murmured softly, many of them intrigued or confused by the human's calm demeanor. The Queen had expected fear, hesitation, or arrogance. Instead, she found none of these. She found respect, courage, and clarity. "You will speak your truths to me," she said finally. "Humans are rarely known for patience, yet you show it. You are calm in a place where most would panic. Speak. Convince me that your species is worthy of attention." Jonas nodded, taking a careful breath. "Humans have survived in the harshest conditions on Earth. We have explored deserts, mountains, and oceans that others cannot survive. We adapt, we learn, we build. But more than that, we value understanding, communication, and cooperation. I come here because I believe that humans and your people can learn from each other. That is why I have entered your ship willingly and unarmed. I have nothing to hide." The Queen's eyes narrowed slightly, not in anger, but in interest. She had heard of humans before, often described as impulsive and weak. Yet here stood one who displayed intelligence and composure. She motioned to one of her attendants, and a small holographic display rose between them. It showed the paths of human exploration, the colonies on distant planets, and the advances in technology and medicine. Jonas had prepared this information in case the Queen questioned him. "You rely heavily on emotion," she said, her voice neutral yet piercing. "Humans are ruled by impulses and instincts. Why should we trust you? Why should we believe that you will not destroy or fail us?" Jonas's response was steady. "Because humans have always used emotion with reason. We balance feeling with thought. Fear can stop us, but courage pushes us forward. Anger can destroy, but empathy can heal. Humans do not rely on raw power alone. We solve problems in ways others cannot predict. That is our strength. That is why I am here, to show that humans are more than what you have been told." The Queen considered his words carefully. She could sense the truth in them. Humans were indeed unpredictable, but unpredictability was not always weakness. It could be a form of intelligence, a way to navigate challenges that others could not foresee. She leaned forward slightly, her many eyes narrowing in thought. "Very well," she said at last. "You will undergo the trials. They are designed to test your mind, body, and spirit. They are unlike anything your species has faced before. Many fail, some never return. If you succeed, you will have my attention. If you fail, the consequences will be severe." Jonas nodded. "I understand. I am ready." A wave of light passed through the chamber, and the Queen's attendants moved to guide him. They led him to a corridor that curved upward, glowing softly with a blue and green light. Jonas noticed how precise their movements were, how their entire society seemed to operate as one organism. Each alien moved with purpose, each step calculated. Humans were different. They acted on instinct, yet that instinct could be guided by reason. Jonas felt confident that his human perspective would be an advantage. The corridor opened into a vast chamber filled with floating platforms, holographic displays, and intricate machinery. The first trial began immediately. Lights flashed in patterns across the floor, and sensors activated as Jonas stepped forward. He understood quickly that this was a test of observation and reaction. Jonas moved carefully, watching the patterns. Some lights responded to movement, some to sound, some to thought, as far as he could tell. He adjusted his steps and movements, reacting to each signal with precision. His calmness allowed him to notice patterns that others would miss. One platform shifted unexpectedly, but he anticipated its movement and adjusted his balance. Another wall displayed symbols that changed as he approached. Jonas decoded them quickly, recognizing the shapes as a form of alien logic puzzle. The Queen observed silently. Her eyes narrowed slightly in surprise. Humans were expected to struggle with such tests. Many failed almost immediately. Yet Jonas moved with purpose, learning as he went, adapting faster than any alien observer had predicted. His calm approach allowed him to think clearly in a situation designed to confuse and overwhelm. As he progressed through the first part of the trial, he noticed that other aliens watched him with curiosity. Some whispered in their language, others tilted their heads in thought. Jonas realized that his human approach was making them reconsider their assumptions. Humans were not just simple creatures driven by instinct. They could think, adapt, and inspire. The final part of the chamber involved a complex sequence of symbols and moving platforms. Jonas paused, observing the patterns carefully. He noticed that the symbols were not random but connected in a logical sequence. He moved deliberately, connecting the symbols in order while maintaining his balance on the moving platforms. Every step required focus, observation, and calm reasoning. When he completed the sequence, the chamber fell silent for a moment. The platform stopped moving, and the lights dimmed to a soft glow. Jonas stood on the final platform, breathing steadily. The Queen's voice echoed in his mind. "You have passed the first trial," she said. "Your mind is sharp and your patience is rare. Few humans would have succeeded." Jonas bowed slightly, showing respect. "Thank you. I have only done what humans do naturally. We observe, learn, and adapt. That is our strength." The Queen did not reply immediately. She was silent, considering his words and actions. For the first time, she felt something unfamiliar, curiosity and respect for a human being. She had expected fear, arrogance, or weakness. Instead, she saw calm intelligence and courage. The human before her was not only surviving but demonstrating a form of strength that her people rarely exhibited. "You will face more trials," she said finally. "Each will be more difficult than the last. But you have shown that humans are capable of more than we believed. Continue with courage, and you may yet prove your species worthy of trust." Jonas nodded. "I will do my best. That is all any human can do." As he was led deeper into the ship, Jonas felt a growing sense of purpose. The trials were not just a test of survival. They were a chance to show that humans were capable of more than the aliens expected. He was small in a vast and alien world, yet his presence mattered. The Queen had noticed him, and that alone was a beginning. He walked forward, calm and confident, ready to face the challenges ahead. The chamber hummed softly around him, alive with energy and expectation. Jonas had removed his helmet, shown his courage, and begun to prove that humans were not weak or simple. He had begun to demonstrate the quiet power of his species, and the Queen, along with her court, had begun to notice. For the first time, a human had entered the heart of the alien ship, not as a threat, but as a presence that could inspire respect. Jonas's journey was only beginning, but he had taken the most important step. He had shown what humans could be, even to those who had never believed in them. Jonas followed the attendants deeper into the mothership. The corridors seemed endless, curving and twisting in ways that made him feel as if the ship itself were alive. The soft hum of energy surrounded him, and faint lights shimmered along the walls. He was not afraid. He had learned that humans survived and thrived in unknown worlds by observing, thinking, and acting calmly. Every step he took was measured, every breath steady. Finally, the corridor opened into a massive chamber. The floor was smooth and reflective, showing faint images of the stars outside. Platforms floated in the air at different heights, connected by beams of light. Symbols glowed on the walls, shifting and moving like living patterns. Several aliens stood at the edges of the chamber, watching Jonas carefully. At the center, the Queen's presence felt closer, as if she were observing every thought he had. "You will face your first trial here," said the lead attendant. "It will test your intelligence, agility, and your ability to adapt. Few have succeeded, and many fail." Jonas nodded. He knew he was ready. The human mind was capable of problem-solving in ways many other species could not predict. He would rely on observation, logic, and careful action. He stepped forward onto the first platform. The platform hovered slightly, adjusting as he moved. He noticed immediately that some of the floating platforms responded to weight and balance. Others seemed to react to thought, though he could not yet understand the mechanism. The first challenge appeared as symbols floating in the air. Light patterns shifted rapidly, forming sequences that seemed impossible to decode at first. Jonas crouched slightly, observing each sequence carefully. Humans were trained to look for patterns and adapt. He realized that some symbols repeated, but in slightly altered forms. His mind began to track the changes. Slowly, he started predicting the next movements of the lights, stepping from one platform to another with careful precision. The Queen's voice echoed in his mind. "Observe carefully. Think clearly. Adapt as needed." Jonas felt the words like guidance rather than command. He focused, allowing his natural human curiosity and intelligence to guide him. He noticed that certain symbols triggered the movement of nearby platforms. By adjusting his steps and timing, he could manipulate the platforms to create a safe path forward. An alien observer moved closer, watching him. It tilted its head, clearly curious. Jonas realized that the aliens were not just testing him, they were studying him. Humans were unpredictable in ways no other species could fully understand. This knowledge gave him an advantage. As he progressed through the first part of the chamber, the platforms began to move more quickly. Lights flashed in irregular patterns, testing his reflexes. Jonas adjusted his pace, moving with both precision and flexibility. He had learned long ago that rigid thinking could lead to failure, while adaptability allowed survival. Each step was careful but confident, balancing observation with action. Suddenly, a section of the chamber emitted a soft vibration. A platform tilted unexpectedly, and a small gap appeared between two floating lights. Jonas paused, analyzing the situation. Humans often solved problems not by force, but by using creativity and lateral thinking. He noticed a reflective surface on the nearby platform and used it to predict the movement of the next set of symbols. Timing his step perfectly, he jumped and landed safely on the next platform. The Queen observed silently, her many eyes narrowing slightly. Humans were expected to struggle with such tests. Many had panicked, fallen, or failed. Yet Jonas moved with calm intelligence. He adapted quickly, learning from each challenge as it appeared. His movements were precise, yet natural, showing that humans could combine observation with instinct in ways that surprised even advanced species. Next, the trial introduced a test of diplomacy. Two alien factions appeared on platforms across the chamber, each blocking a different path forward. Both demanded that Jonas follow their instructions to continue. If he chose one over the other, the path would collapse. The Queen's test was clear. He must navigate the situation without anger, deceit, or failure. Jonas stopped and observed. He knew that humans often solved conflicts by seeking understanding rather than confrontation. He raised his hands in a gesture of peace, showing that he meant no harm. "I do not wish to harm either of you," he said clearly. His voice echoed in the chamber through the translator. "I wish to find a way that respects both your needs." The alien factions paused, surprised by his calm approach. Humans rarely negotiated in ways that avoided direct conflict. Jonas continued, "If I follow one path, the other may be harmed. But if we work together, there is a way forward that allows both paths to succeed. Let us observe the patterns and act together." The factions studied him, their many eyes focused. Slowly, they began to adjust their positions, moving platforms in a synchronized pattern that allowed Jonas to pass safely. He stepped forward carefully, grateful for their cooperation. The Queen's mind communicated directly to him, a subtle acknowledgement of his success. The next part of the trial tested endurance and agility. Platforms began to rise and fall rapidly. Lights flashed in complex sequences, and the floor beneath him vibrated as if alive. Jonas adjusted his balance, moving with steady precision. He noticed that some platforms responded to speed, others to weight, and some to his direction of movement. By observing carefully and predicting their behavior, he could navigate the chamber safely. As he advanced, a puzzle appeared in front of him. Symbols formed a pattern that seemed impossible to decode at first. Jonas crouched and studied the shapes. He noticed that certain symbols corresponded to the platform's movements. By connecting the correct symbols in order, he could stabilize the platforms and create a safe path. His hands moved quickly but deliberately, touching the symbols in sequence. Slowly, the platforms aligned, and the path opened forward. The chamber tested him further with a final challenge, a series of moving beams that required both mental focus and physical precision. Jonas observed their timing, noting the patterns and predicting their paths. He stepped forward with calm confidence, adjusting his movements with each shift of the beams. When a beam tilted unexpectedly, he adapted instantly, using his balance and observation to move safely. Finally, Jonas reached the end of the chamber. He paused, breathing evenly, and looked back at the path he had navigated. He had completed the first trial, demonstrating intelligence, agility, and diplomacy. The Queen observed silently, her eyes wide with surprise. Humans were often underestimated by her people, but Jonas had shown qualities that were rare and valuable. "You have completed the first trial," the Queen said at last. Her voice was calm, yet carried respect. "You have demonstrated intelligence, courage, and adaptability. Few humans would have succeeded. Few other species could have completed this trial without error." Jonas bowed slightly. "Thank you. I only did what humans do naturally. We observe, learn, and adapt. That is our strength." The Queen remained silent for a moment, considering his words. She realized that humans were capable of more than she had believed. They were not merely impulsive or weak. They could think, adapt, and act with courage and intelligence in ways that challenged even the most advanced species. "You will face further trials," she said finally. "Each will be more complex and demanding. But you have begun to show the potential of your species. Continue with patience and courage, and you may yet prove that humans are worthy of attention and respect." Jonas nodded. "I understand. I will continue." As he was guided to the next chamber, he felt a sense of purpose. Each trial was not just a challenge, it was an opportunity to demonstrate what humans could achieve. He was small in a vast alien world, yet his presence mattered. The Queen had noticed him, and that recognition was the first step toward building trust and understanding between species. The attendants led him through a corridor that twisted upward, glowing softly with alien light. Platforms floated alongside, showing glimpses of other chambers filled with strange technology. Jonas observed everything carefully, noting patterns and connections. Every detail could be important in the trials ahead. Jonas realized that his human instincts, combined with careful observation and reasoning, were giving him an advantage. He had completed the first trial not only through skill but through thought, patience, and respect for the environment and the aliens around him. The chamber he entered next was quieter, with fewer moving platforms, but more complex symbols and light sequences. Jonas took a deep breath and focused his mind. He had already learned that fear or hesitation could lead to failure. Calm observation and careful action were the keys to survival and success. Jonas stepped into the next chamber with cautious confidence. The corridor leading here had been long, twisting and glowing, and the soft hum of the ship seemed to grow louder as he approached the heart of the trials. This chamber was unlike the previous ones. It was circular, with walls that reflected light in patterns that shifted constantly like a living mosaic. Floating platforms and glowing symbols still filled the space. But the challenge here was not only physical or mental. It was something deeper, something that required insight, patience, and empathy. The Queen's presence was strong. Jonas could sense her attention on him as he moved forward. She did not speak aloud yet, but her thoughts were clear. She expected humans to fail when faced with challenges that required understanding others, predicting motives, and making choices that affected more than oneself. Jonas knew that this trial would test not only his mind and body, but his heart and judgment. You will face the challenge of understanding. Her voice finally echoed in his mind. Here, your intelligence alone will not be enough. You will need to recognize intentions, solve conflicts, and act with both wisdom and empathy. Many fail because they are unable to see beyond themselves. Humans are rarely known for this. Show me otherwise. Jonas nodded slightly. He felt a spark of determination. Humans had survived harsh climates, dangerous creatures, and unpredictable circumstances for centuries. Adaptation, observation, and empathy were natural strengths when applied carefully. He would rely on all of them to succeed. The chamber shifted suddenly. Light patterns changed and several platforms rose from the floor. Each platform had an alien standing on it. The aliens were not hostile, but each represented a different faction, a different need, and a different perspective. Jonas realized that to advance, he would need to navigate not only the space, but also the complexities of their interaction. The first alien stepped forward, extending a limb in what Jonas recognized as a formal greeting. You must choose which path to take, it said, its thoughts clear in his mind. Each path honors my people. Choose wrongly, and one group will be offended. Jonas studied the situation carefully. He had learned from previous experiences that humans could often find solutions others overlooked. He raised his hand slightly in a gesture of calm. I do not wish to cause harm or offense, he said. I wish to find a solution that respects all of you. Let us look at the paths together and find a way forward that benefits everyone. The aliens paused. This was unusual. Most creatures in the galaxy acted from self-interest or strict rules. Humans could think beyond immediate consequences. Jonas continued observing each alien and their reactions. If we cooperate, we can find a sequence that allows each path to remain open. We do not need to choose one over the other. We can respect all needs. Slowly, the aliens adjusted their positions, moving platforms in careful coordination. Jonas stepped lightly from one to the next, noticing how his movements affected the balance of each platform. He had to think in 3 dimensions, considering timing, weight, and the reactions of the aliens around him. Each step required calculation, observation, and careful attention to both the environment and the beings within it. As he progressed, a new challenge appeared. A symbol floated in midair, glowing with an intense light. It represented a complex sequence that had to be activated in a specific order to open the next path. Jonas studied it carefully. He realized that the symbol's sequence was linked to the movements of the aliens. He could not activate it blindly. He had to understand the timing and intention of those around him. He spoke gently to the nearest alien. Please move your platform slowly as I work with this symbol. Your timing is important. Together, we can succeed. The alien nodded and shifted carefully, coordinating its movement with Jonas's actions. Step by step, the sequence was completed. The symbol glowed brighter and a passage opened ahead. Jonas moved forward with steady confidence. He realized that human success was not just in intelligence or agility, but in the ability to communicate, to connect, and to find solutions that included others. The Queen observed silently. Her many eyes followed Jonas as he navigated the chamber. She had expected humans to struggle with these challenges of empathy and understanding. Yet here was one who not only survived but also inspired cooperation. She felt a strange sense of admiration. The next stage of the trial tested adaptability under pressure. Platforms began to move faster. Symbols changed more rapidly and the alien's position shifted unexpectedly. Jonas adjusted with calm focus, reading the reactions of the aliens and predicting the changes in the environment. He used observation and logic, but also intuition, understanding the subtle cues in the behavior of those around him. A sudden sequence forced him to make a choice. Two platforms rose simultaneously, each leading to a different path. One appeared safer, but it would block a group of aliens from moving forward. The other was riskier, but allowed everyone to continue. Jonas paused for a moment, weighing the options. Humans were often praised for courage in uncertain situations. He chose the riskier path, moving carefully with precise timing. His decision allowed the aliens to continue unharmed, and the path ahead remained open. The Queen's presence felt closer now. She did not interfere, but observed keenly. She noted how Jonas considered the needs of others while acting decisively. That combination of courage, reasoning, and empathy was rare. Humans, she realized, could balance emotion with logic in ways few species could. As Jonas progressed, a final challenge of the chamber appeared. A group of alien platforms required simultaneous coordination. If one moved too quickly or too slowly, the entire sequence would fail. Jonas communicated with each alien clearly and calmly, directing movement while respecting their autonomy. Slowly, carefully, the platforms aligned perfectly, creating a stable path forward. Jonas stepped across, feeling the weight of success. "You have completed the challenge of understanding," the Queen's voice echoed in his mind. "You have demonstrated intelligence, courage, and empathy. You have shown that humans can think beyond themselves, that they can solve problems with insight and cooperation. Few have achieved this." Jonas bowed slightly. "Thank you. Humans survive and thrive not only through strength or speed, but by understanding, observing, and working together. That is our nature." The Queen considered his words and actions. She had believed humans were unpredictable, impulsive, and weak. Yet Jonas had proven otherwise. He had not only adapted to the environment, but had also influenced others, creating cooperation where conflict might have arisen. His calm courage and understanding were qualities the aliens rarely saw combined in a single being. "You will face more trials," the Queen said. "Each will test you in ways unexpected. But you have begun to show the value of your species. Continue, and you may prove humans worthy of trust and respect." Jonas felt a surge of determination. He had faced the first stages of mental, physical, and empathic challenges. Each step had reinforced his confidence in humanity's adaptability and intelligence. He understood that the trials were not simply obstacles, but opportunities to demonstrate what humans could offer: insight, courage, and the ability to inspire cooperation. The attendants led him through a series of twisting corridors that glowed softly. Platforms and symbols appeared and disappeared as if alive. Jonas observed carefully, noting every detail. Each chamber was designed to challenge not only skill, but also perception, communication, and patience. The Queen had created a sequence of trials that revealed the full potential of those who could succeed. Jonas realized that humans had a unique advantage. While the aliens relied on strict rules, logic, and observation, humans combined reason with creativity and empathy. He could improvise, adapt, and inspire cooperation where others might fail. That combination, he understood, was the source of his growing success. The final chamber of the trial approached. It was larger, brighter, and more complex than the previous ones. Symbols floated in layers, moving independently, while platforms shifted with increasing speed. Jonas took a deep breath, centering himself. He had faced trials of intelligence, agility, and empathy. Now he would need to combine all these skills seamlessly. He began to move carefully, predicting patterns, coordinating with the aliens around him, and adjusting to the changes in the environment. Every step required observation, calculation, and adaptability. Symbols had to be activated in precise sequences while maintaining balance on the moving platforms. Aliens moved in synchronization, responding to Jonas's guidance and cooperation. As he reached the center of the chamber, a final symbol glowed brightly. It represented the completion of the trial, but it required a final act of judgment. Jonas observed the sequence carefully. He realized that rushing would fail, but hesitation would also be dangerous. Humans had always thrived by balancing caution with decisive action. Jonas entered the final chamber of the alien mothership with steady resolve. The room was vast, almost impossibly tall, with platforms floating at varying heights and lights shimmering in waves across the walls. The hum of the ship was louder here, almost as if it recognized the importance of this final trial. He could feel the presence of the alien queen more strongly than ever. Her attention was focused entirely on him, as if every heartbeat and thought of his were being observed. "This is the final trial," the queen's voice echoed in his mind. "Here you will face your greatest challenge. Intelligence, courage, and empathy will not be enough alone. You must demonstrate vision, insight, and the ability to act with purpose that honors both your species and ours. Few have reached this stage. Many fail when faced with this chamber. Succeed, and you will prove that humans are capable of greatness." Jonas nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. He had already passed trials of skill, agility, intelligence, and empathy. He had shown humans adaptability and courage. But this final challenge was different. It demanded vision, the ability to think beyond immediate consequences, and the capacity to inspire cooperation among beings of vastly different perspectives. He knew that failure was not an option. The chamber shifted suddenly. Platforms rose and fell in complex patterns. Symbols glowed in sequences that changed rapidly, and several alien figures appeared, each representing a different faction or interest. Jonas understood that this was not only a physical and mental test, but a test of diplomacy and leadership. Each alien expected him to act in ways that would benefit some while potentially harming others. The balance of the chamber depended on his decisions. Jonas studied the environment carefully. He observed the timing of the platforms, the reactions of the aliens, and the patterns of the glowing symbols. He realized that each action he took would affect more than his own progress. Humans had a unique ability to consider consequences not only for themselves but for others. He would use that strength now. The first challenge was a set of platforms that moved in opposite directions, each leading to a different path. One path appeared safer but would isolate some alien groups, causing conflict. The other was riskier but allowed everyone to continue together. Jonas paused and considered his options. He took a deep breath and chose the riskier path, calculating the timing, weight distribution, and cooperation needed. He moved carefully, stepping precisely as the platforms shifted. The aliens followed his lead, adjusting their movements to match his timing. Jonas realized that humans could inspire trust through calm confidence. By acting decisively and considering the needs of others, he created a path that allowed all participants to advance safely. The next part of the chamber presented a puzzle of symbols floating in the air. Each symbol corresponded to a platform's movement. Jonas understood that to solve it, he had to coordinate not only his own steps but also the movements of the aliens around him. He communicated clearly and calmly, directing each alien while respecting their autonomy. Slowly, step by step, the sequence of symbols aligned perfectly, stabilizing the platforms and creating a clear path forward. The queen observed silently, her many eyes narrowing slightly in surprise. Humans were rarely known for their ability to coordinate complex actions across multiple species, while maintaining respect and diplomacy. Jonas's calm focus and insight were exceptional. She could feel the difference between instinct-driven action and purposeful, thoughtful strategy. Humans could inspire cooperation in ways she had never fully believed possible. As Jonas progressed, a sudden challenge appeared. Platforms shifted more rapidly, and symbols changed patterns unpredictably. Aliens moved in ways that could destabilize the chamber if mistimed. Jonas's heart remained steady. He relied on observation, adaptability, and clear communication. Each decision required thought, foresight, and a calm mind. He stepped with precision, guiding the aliens gently, ensuring that their movements complemented each other and the platforms remained balanced. The queen's voice resonated again in his mind. "You think beyond yourself. You act with insight and foresight. Few species have this ability. Continue, and demonstrate the vision that humans possess." Jonas advanced to the center of the chamber where a large platform hovered above a pool of shimmering energy. A final symbol appeared, glowing brighter than all others. This symbol represented the ultimate test, understanding the consequences of his actions for both humans and aliens. The path forward required not only precision but also judgment. One misstep could collapse the entire system. Jonas studied the symbol and the platforms carefully. He realized that the solution required patience, timing, and trust in the beings around him. He could not act alone. Humans often solved problems by combining intelligence, observation, and cooperation. He would use that combination now. He spoke softly to the nearest alien. "Move your platform slowly and steadily. The timing is important. We will succeed together. The alien responded with a nod and shifted carefully. Jonas adjusted his position, moving step by step, connecting the final sequence of symbols while coordinating the aliens.